Hey, what is going on, all of you freaking nerds, on a Thursday night? It's me, Josh, back again for another Let's Listen here on Bonus Stage, and I'm joined by our good friend and frequent visitor, Alan of GameGrooves. Alan, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm feeling great.
Great. Yes, feeling great through it all, if I understand correctly. Oh man, we are here tonight to celebrate your release of Wavebeam, a synthwave tribute to Metroid Prime, and just to set the scene a little bit, maybe get some of that stress out of the way. Alan, I've heard you guys have had a hell of a time getting this album to the finish line.
Yeah. There was some licensing woes which I won't go too far into, but suffice it to say, like I would highly recommend like verifying that the albums you think are licensable before you start working on a project. That's something I think I've learned from this whole thing. Because fun fact, so there was an album of Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion that's available, I think, in mainly in Japan. I don't think it's available in the US in like US stores. But I have a copy, which Ro Panagansu got me when he was over in Japan. Thank you, Ro. So I was under the assumption that it was eligible for licensing because I know other people have used it before. But due to licensing rules changing, because why not? It's no longer eligible. So if you have an album in mind for Metroid, you might want to check and make sure that there's another release that you can use. So yeah, that's the long story short. We will have the album out tomorrow on Bandcamp and all the other platforms. We were looking at a situation where we were going to have to delay other platforms besides Bandcamp, but fortunately, Sounddrop. Shout out to Sounddrop. They really worked hard to get this through in like the 11th hour. And honestly, I think a lot of the issues, well, let's say a lot of the miscommunication or maybe complications were from the licensing company that they use. That I like said incorrectly assumed that this album, which had in the past been completely okay for licensing purposes, is not anymore. So yeah, there's your PSA. There, you learned something.
Oh man, I would love to learn if it's possible to like daisy chain licenses. It's like, well, no, but this release here, this is still out. This is still
Yeah,
viable,
I
right?
mean,
Like, let's just hop on that
let
and on
it's
that.
a pretty cutthroat world out there, you know. There's I remember talking with Mustin about this on our Magfest panel last year, and it was like it's not for the faint of heart. It's a lot of like, wait, I thought, just trying to make it work however you can. So fortunately it all came together. And I'm happy to be here with all these wonderful artists celebrating some of my favorite video game music. Also, I have to do this. I might do this a couple times. I have my Metroid Prime tattoo that I'm very proud of. So these are like the different hand configurations for the different beams in the game. So
Oh, nice.
um,
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Live
I'm
long and prosper. That's
yeah. I actually do have a Star Trek tattoo as well.
oh, dude, massive cred. Okay, well that kind of naturally segues into what I wanted to ask because Game Grooves, you guys do a lot of different albums with a lot of different musical themes, usually centered around an awesome game that is beloved. Last time we had you guys on was just before the new year. Actually, I think we
Right.
had you on for the Wind Waker album, Rad Lions, and so I feel like there's an obvious answer. It's tattooed on your arm, but I
Yeah.
want you to speak a little bit on why Metroid Prime and why Synthwave.
That's those are two very good questions. So first of all, uh I've wanted to do a Metroid Prime album for a long time, but it's kind of like one of those things where when it's something that's really important to you, you're really hesitant to like. And I know I'm just a producer and like I'm not the one actually making the music, but even just like producing the album, I wanted to have like a really cool pitch or a unique pitch that I could give to the artist other than let's just do a Metroid Prime album. So I kind of waited and I wasn't sure when I wanted to do it. And then MagFest announced the theme. And I'm pretty sure it was when they announced the theme that I was like, all right, well, we have to do this album now. So that was kind of like what got the ball rolling. That was the catalyst. And then it was just a matter of trying to figure out what we wanted to do. At one point, I was thinking about doing like a metal album, but Metroid Metal is obviously very popular. And I was like, maybe we can think of like a slightly different twist. And I forget how, but somehow Synthwave came up, and I was like, this kind of makes sense because the Metroid series started in the late '80s. Synthwave is kind of like recreating that '80s sound, and it's different enough from the Metroid Prime like soundtrack that it would be distinct. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to go for like I feel like and not that I wouldn't love a lo-fi Metroid Prime album, but I feel like some parts of it already are kind of sparse. You know what I mean? And we had just done an EDM album, so I didn't really want to do EDM. So Synthwave was a good fit, I think. We still might do a Metroid, metal album, but it depends on how many CDs are going to be eligible for licensing whenever we get around to it. They keep shrinking, and Nintendo's definitely not putting out any more officially licensed Metroid albums, at least for now. So,
oh man, no, you just
Nintendo,
gotta,
if you're watching, this is a hint. Please start doing that.
if Nintendo's not watching, Alan, just keep daisy chaining off of this.
I
Just
know.
keep recreating this album in different musical genres.
That's
Then you
right.
can do it in perpetuity. Oh my god. Yeah, dude, awesome. Well, I'm a bit of a pleb. I've played all of one Metroid game through to completion, that being Super Metroid, of course. So I'm. I also played like Metroid Prime Pinball. That was
Oh,
like
okay.
a very brief. I think it was even just the demo on DS.
That's a
Uh,
deep cut.
so yeah, that is a pretty deep cut, but that's the extent of my Metroid experience. But you know, what do you love most about the Metroid Prime games specifically?
I think if I had to pick two things, it would be the exploration and the atmosphere. Like, I remember I had never played any Metroid games up to that point. I really want. I remember like all the trailers coming out and the press, and this is back when people still read magazines. So I had like Electronic Gaming Monthly, and I was reading their previews, and I was so excited. And I was like begging my parents because I was a teenager at that point. I was begging my parents to get the game for me for Christmas. They did. Still my favorite Christmas gift ever. And I just became so immersed in that world. Like everything was so immersive from the first person perspective to the way that you scan objects to get lore in the game to the music to the combat design. It was a complete package. You know what I mean? And I think if anything, the remastered version has kind of showed that it still holds its own. Like it still has some really great concepts when it comes to how to build an exploration based game where there's backtracking, but there's all kinds of like things that you can explore and find as you get more upgrades, or there's quicker ways of getting around. The visors change things, so yeah, the exploration and the atmosphere for me were what really drew me into that world
Mhm.
for this game. And then I don't think the other two quite hit the same marks for exploration like that the first one did. Two, I think a lot of people are a little divided on how that worked, but I think all three games are definitely like some of my favorites, and I'm really hoping they do remakes of 2 and 3.
Nice, man. Yeah, yeah. I think it speaks to a game developer who's able to take like a classically 2D
Oh
uh,
yeah,
game and like translate that to a a first person perspective in a three
right.
dimensional world. Like,
Right.
yeah,
It was not the obvious approach, I think, and that's why a lot of people were interested in it, and it kind of like it was a good starting point for people like myself.
right on, dude. Well, we've got lots of excellent music and lots of great artists to join us and talk about said music. What do you think, Alan? Should we put this album on play?
I say go for it.
All right. What else do you say, Alan? Let's.
Listen.
I love you, man. Oh, where the hell is Alan? There he is. Sorry.
Hey.
Hey, you're right there. You didn't go anywhere. That's on me. That's on Video Ninja. That's what that is. Oh my god. Well, we just heard multiplayer hunters from Metroid Prime 2 Echoes by Yonvolt. Matip Music's remix of the Distress Signal from Metroid Prime, and Deontay George's versus Parasite Queen, also from Metroid Prime. Also, Deontay, you're in chat. Hi, bud. Good song. Good remix, dude. Awesome job. Alan, we are seeing a lot of return artists on this album. Of course, the GameGrooves community. You have quite a lot of regulars, and yeah, I feel like maybe some of them haven't done synthwave before. I'm not saying that to be like, hey, that sounded like shit. I don't know. I'm a fucking
Right,
uh,
right.
I'm a synthwave snob here, and I don't think you've done this before. But no, I just mean that in the sense that like people are probably stretching out and trying something new, trying a new format. What was it like getting pitches for the tracks on this album?
Um, it's funny you mentioned that because I think in a lot of ways that's what I try to do is kind of give artists an avenue to maybe try experiment a bit, like that maybe more than they would with their own music because it's like you create an audience and a brand and you kind of want to stick to that so people know what to expect. But when you're on a compilation and collaboration album like this, you can really do whatever you want. So I can't remember off the top of my head who exactly it was like their first time doing synthwave, but there was definitely a few people and there are actually some new artists as well, Jan Volt and Matt Tip Music being two of them. So it's a nice mix. I feel like that's always good to have, the veteran producers and then some of the newer producers, and then hopefully there's some kind of like symbiosis. There's some kind of mixing of things going on. So. I like I said, I think maybe it was on the show, but I like to think of Game Grooves as like a melting pot of VGM. So and in many different ways, whether that's like, with experiences or backgrounds or genres. I think that's for the best.
Yeah, just melt down all of the artists and turn them into synthwave gods.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good approach to an album. Absolutely. Was it? I mean, there are 14 tracks on the album, so it couldn't have been very hard to get submissions. Was there anything that you had to turn down, or was anybody unable to deliver?
I think we had one, maybe two dropouts, so not too many.
Mm.
And I generally open albums up with around 15 tracks because I find that the sweet spot for most albums are around between 30 and 45 minutes because I like to think of these as like albums and not just a bunch of songs, right? So 30, 45 minutes, you know, anywhere from 10 to 15 tracks. We had I think it was pretty quickly that everything filled up. And I do feel like well, actually, there was quite a few tracks I was surprised that people didn't go for. There was a lot of uh, we opened it up to all of Metroid Prime, which now we know is maybe not licensable. Metroid, several tracks from Metroid Prime 2 and 3. And then, of course, some of the tracks from the trilogy, the Metroid Prime trilogy, are actually rearrangements from older titles,
Mm.
like Taurus Bog Subterranean is, I think, Lower Brinstar, right? So that's, or Red Soil, whatever you want to call it. It goes by many titles. That's actually my favorite video game track of all time, and it's on this album. So, um, yeah, I gave people a lot of choices when it came to like what do you want to do, and then it was kind of surprising some of the choices, but yeah, I mean, as we go through the album, I think you'll find like there's a good balance of like I feel like overall the album has kind of like a mid tempo feel and not in a bad way. Like obviously, but Milk Bar was pretty high energy throughout. This one's kind of like it feels like it suits the Metroid Prime experience, where it's just kind of like you're in this alien world, you're kind of going from area to area, you're assessing things, you're not going too crazy. You might have a few spikes where there's like, enemies coming around, but yeah, I mean, it was fun putting together the album and trying to find the track flow, and in some cases I had my, it was kind of like easy mode because I had a distress signal leading into like versus, yeah. So, but in other cases, I kind of tried to pick and choose based on mood. So,
Hmm.
Yeah, I think overall it was, aside from the licensing, it was very smooth album production process.
We can move on from the licensing now, and we don't have to keep talking about
And
the licensing.
the
There's
artwork
like
was,
visibly
yeah, I
like your
know.
veins popping
I
out
know
of your
my
skull.
it's like an anime where I have that, like, whatever, the anger spot popping.
Yeah.
Uh
Oh god.
and I want to take a second and shout out Don Corgi for the artwork, which, I mean, they brought it to life, because I was researching, like, obviously Synthwave has a very recognizable color palette, so I sent them some ideas, and I was like, well, I want it to be recognizably like Metroid Prime, so we got the font, and then I've got the GameGrooves logo. That's a little bit more noticeable as you look at it. And
I
then I
didn't
was like,
notice that
let's
until
have
you
the,
pointed it out. Yes.
yeah,
Thank you.
they have the little bubbles coming up in the background, so it kind
Yeah.
of looks like the title screen. And actually, shout out, I forget who did the Wave Beam title. We were trying to come up with the title. This is another one of these things people don't think about too often. But I was like pitching it to the group, and somebody said Wave Beam, and we may end up doing a remix album later called Wave Buster, because it was between Wave Beam and Wave Buster. And I was like, well, we could do Wave Beam and then save Wave Buster for like a second album of, remixes of remixes. But don't
Just
want to get
daisy
ahead of
chaining
myself.
that licensing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
won't bring up licensing again.
No, please, please. Yes, that's exactly right.
Oh my god. Well, yeah. I mean, you mentioned, and I know we've talked about this several times on the show about just like crafting the track order and
Yeah.
having like a flow and stuff like that. Obviously, the first two tracks sharing some very common themes and motifs from the Metroid series. But I just for my sake and for the listeners' sake, is there a flow, or should I even say a narrative that we should be listening for in terms of the track order?
Um, yeah, I think it starts out like most albums, they tend to start out like a little bit more, if I can think of like moods, a little bit more lighthearted, and then they usually get more intense. Like, I've actually written an article which I need to update, which talks about like I think of it like a 3-act structure. Like, you have the beginning, you have your anchor track where things kind of change, and then you have like the climax where it's usually the most intense track. And that definitely is the case on this album too. Um, Jay Ronan OPF put together a really cool track, which we also had trouble licensing. I can't get away from it. But
Oh,
anyways, that track is from Metroid Prime 2. That's really good. Versus Emperor Ing. So
yeah.
anyways, yeah, expect the album to get more like moody and dark,
Ooh.
darkness.
All right, yeah, darkness.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of darkness, our next listening block kicks things off with some very metallic synthwave featuring Claymore and Factory Flora. As well, we are going to be listening to Cool Dance's Crashed Ship Frigate Orpheon and Saya Sounds with the Torvus Bog Subterranean.
My
And we
favorite
are going to
track.
have Cool Dance and Saya on to talk about their tracks after this listening block. So, Alan, why don't we let's
Listen.
Okay, so it's a funny story. So I was walking down the street one day, and, I'd be looking at asses and shit, and I saw little yoga pants coming out the nail salon. So, like, I looked, I peeped the ass out. I was like, damn, she thick as Turned around, it was Alan from GameGrooves. I was like, dude, what are you doing out here with all that ass? Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon, hella ass. The sun is still out. What was the question?
Favorite part of Metroid Prime?
I haven't played it.
Incredible. Oh man, that Torvis Bog Subterranean always makes me think of take a look at my girlfriend. Never, she's the only one I got. I have like milked that joke to death though, and my girlfriend hates it because she takes it personally. But she's amazing, and that song is also amazing. But you know who else is amazing? We got Cool Dance here on Let's Listen, our first featured artist on the show here tonight. How you doing, man?
I am wonderful. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. You must be feeling pretty cool because your name is Cool Dance. But you produced the crashed ship frigate Orpheon track. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. Maybe start off with what made you choose that track.
Sure. So, the track title is a little bit of a mouthful, for sure. But so I had played Metroid Prime way back in the day as a kid on GameCube, and I really liked it, but I don't think I quite like got it. And I always loved the 2D Metroid games. And then when the trilogy came out on Wii, I played through it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is good stuff. But I always like loved the vibe of that like underwater section and the crashed ship frigate Orpheon. um I always just thought it was like cool because it's very like ethereal and like ambient and just like it fits that underwater feel a lot. So when Alan said Synthwave Metroid Prime, I was like, I love this song. Like, do I think I could make it Synthwave? And I was like, I don't even know what Synthwave is. So so I went on YouTube, I watched a couple videos, I was like, yeah, I could totally make it Synthwave.
Wow, there's my point right there. A bunch of people trying synthwave for the first time.
Professionals, don't try it at home.
Yeah,
No, just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
not to diminish in any way what you put together. Oh my god.
No, but it was a fun experience. I mean, it's a cool genre. It's very I'm like as a musician, I'm very just like throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks and just like high energy whatever, and this was kind of like an exercise in like patience and like kind of keeping things like a little more like straightforward and simple, and I think it ended up being really cool. So
Yeah, cool dance, you could say.
yes.
Yeah,
If you just want to repeatedly say your own name all night. Oh
It's-
my god.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad that you have played Metroid Prime. You have broken a very steady streak of people coming onto this show covering the music, having never played the games from the music. I think we
Yes.
had lots of perpetrators on the Pizza Tower tribute that you guys had a while back.
I was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for bringing your sincerity and genuinity to Wave Beam. Oh man. Yeah, so I guess like, I know that you work with a lot of electronic music styles. What was it like for you to kind of like make that shift into synthwave? Like, was there anything that any special advice that helped you kind of lock in your sound or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So like Vector U, who I see is in the chat, hello, is one of my best friends like in the whole world. We played tennis in high school together. We were on the high school tennis team. So like we go way back,
Oh.
So whenever I'm working on something new, I'll just like drop it in the chat and be like, what do you think? And so when I was like, oh, I'm doing a synthwave thing, he was like, I was like, does this bass work? Does this work? And he gave me a little advice here and there, and it definitely is like always such a huge help. And him and the group of other EDM remixers that now we're all kind of a collective. It's really great to have the advice of those like guys who are much more experienced than I.
Yeah, you get to glean from the cult a little bit.
Yeah.
And I do apologize, but Alan has redeemed a Goofy time, so that means I'm gonna speak like Goofy for a little bit. Well, gosh, I don't know rightly what to ask now that I'm Goofy.
Hold on, I have something I wanted to say.
Go ahead, Alan. Waste your Goofy time by speaking
I'm not
yourself.
goofy time. It's your goofy time. So I wanted to take a second and say that for those of you that knows, I think his name is Cinemax. I think I'm saying that correctly. He has a YouTube channel and a Twitter profile where he talks a lot about like Metroid Prime synths and the textures that are used in the game. So I knew that he was obviously a Metroid Prime fan, and I sent this album to him like unsolicited, just hey, we did his album. I thought you might like it. And he did like it, and he especially likes your track, Cool Dance. So you have that seal of approval from somebody who's also a very big fan of the game.
High praise.
Lastly, this is embarrassing to admit. While I was putting this album together and looking at track titles on VGMDB, I realized that Crash Ship Frigate Orphean is the ship that you start out in. I don't know why I never put that up together, like the 2 and 2 together. I just thought it was a random ship that the space pirates like crashed, and then I was like, "Holy shit!
So
This is the ship that you start out on and is crashing," and that's blown my
fun
mind,
fact
and I
about
feel like an
that.
idiot.
That room with like the ring of all the platforms, right? That's where
Right.
you fight that first
The boss. Yeah, I
Parasite
figured
Queen.
that. That's what I thought too. I was like, that makes sense. So it's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah.
Oh
But
man,
I'm glad I could elucidate you a little bit.
we had
Thank
to
you,
redeem
Dan.
from Lindsay Lou to stop the goofy time. But Alan, if there's one phrase or series of words that you would like me to say, I'll do that in Goofy's voice, just so you feel like you still got some value out of that.
Oh, what should I do? Never mind. Nothing that comes to mind that's going to be appropriate.
If
for
something
this
comes to
situation.
mind, just let me know. And,
I
Yeah,
think
I'll think
just
on it.
once you should say Crash Ship Frigate Orphean as Goofy.
Crash
Yep.
Ship Frigate Orpheon.
There you go. That's good.
Oh my god. Okay. People are redeeming lots of goofy times now. I think it's time for us to move on. Dance, thanks for being on. We'll definitely get you back on for. Oh wow, everybody's calling it goofy time. Thanks so much for being on the show, Cool Dance. We'll talk to you later.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
And now we're going to bring on to the show Saya Sounds. How's it going, Saya Sounds?
Yuck. Okay. That is the most you're getting out of me. I can actually do a decent goofy, but I have to like work my way into it. Yeah, how are y'all doing?
We're doing great. You can work yourself into a goofy all you want. You've got a safe space here on bonus stage to work yourself up to goofy.
That sounds like a euphemism.
Oh, it sure does.
And so forth. Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah.
but yes, you submitted your. I'm gonna get to say this one with a goofy voice.
Yes.
Torvus Bog Subterranean from the
I am so proud
Metroid
of you.
Prime 2 Echo soundtrack. Well, Saya Sounds, how did you choose your song?
So I've only played through all of Metroid Primes 1 and 2. I know this is going to sound controversial, but I actually like 2 just a little bit more than 1. And I don't know, just hitting Torvus Bog and hitting and hearing that song, not even knowing that that's from Super Metroid because I am #fake fan. I don't know, it just really resonated. And yeah, and then not even realizing that that's apparently like a couple people here's favorite song as well.
#fake gamer girl.
Actually, hold on. Let me just jump in and say I'm in the same boat. Say it where I played Metroid Prime 2 without playing Super Metroid, and I thought the same thing. I was like, "This is like the coolest song ever." So there's 2.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
But then I played Super Metroid later. So #fake fan redeems.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, as I referenced earlier, this song is also an homage to "Take a Look at My Girlfriend." She's the only one I got. But no, this theme is shared among other songs in the Metroid series as well, is it not?
Is it? I don't know. I'm not the one to ask.
Oh no, who's the one to ask? Oh shit, we got the wrong guests in. I'm sorry.
I think this is Super Metroid and Metroid Prime 2, but I could be wrong.
Right. Okay. But yeah, you are also a member of the GameGrooves. The Goom. That sounds like something else as well.
I'm about to say you're about to be like GameGroofs or something like that.
GameGroofs. GameGroofs. Oh. No.
Wait, that I'm gonna take later for
Yeah.
something.
Okay, Alan. We're cooking now. Oh boy.
So when we make our 1000th Kingdom Hearts album and anything with vocals, everything has to be goofy.
Oh
That's
my
good.
god. Yes, please. But wow, Torvus Bog Subterranean. No, but I was gonna say that you have also been on several of the GameGrooves projects, and you have found yourself very genre fluid. So as well as being like a a Metroid Prime noob, is this relatively like a fresh try for you to get into synthwave as well?
Honestly, not really. This is probably the third or fourth synthwave track that I've made. Just I don't know. I really enjoy the genre, and also I'm nostalgic as hell. I'm probably the oldest one of us here, so of course I lean completely into that. But no, I made a couple other synthwave songs recently, and so I figured. So as soon as Alan mentioned this, it's like, okay, this is easy for me. I can just take at least half of the settings I've already used for everything else and just bring it over. But I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So, and actually, I have the email open for the notes that I gave Alan because otherwise I would forget. But the idea that I had was that this is going to be kind of nerdy, but like I started it at so like it starts at 86 beats per minute, and then about halfway through when I try to take it in a little more cyberpunk direction, because I'm also trying to produce some cyberpunk type tracks for reasons, it goes up to 94 beats a minute, which, funny enough, the first Metroid came out in 1986. Super Metroid came out in 1994, so this was maybe or maybe not.
It's all connected.
Yeah, exactly. That might have been intentional.
Illuminati.
But aside from that, I also just wanted to mess with the time signatures. So I go into 7/8 and then 6/8, and trying to see like how well that works without it being too abrupt. So I don't know. It's a lot of experimentation.
Yeah, a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and a banging track came out of it, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Do you now that you've like played with the music a little bit, do you have more desire to go and play the game?
Oh yeah, I mean I've played I've played 1 and 2. But that said, or I should say Primes 1 and 2. That said, I do want to actually sit down with Super Metroid when I have time, although time is a luxury, so
Yeah. Oh man, Switch Online if you have that. That's how
Oh no, I do. Yeah.
Oh man, love
It's a
playing
luxury
through
and
that.
illusion.
Also, sorry, I know I said I wasn't going to bring up licensing, but just like I forgot to bring up the analogy earlier, how like at the end of the typical Metroid game, you like, oh, and it's the ticking time bomb. You gotta like scoot all the way up to the surface before you can't
Yeah.
release the album anymore. But
I deserve this because I
you
deserve
chose
it.
the level of hell that you reside in.
I did. No, full disclosure, I'm also the person that sent you like 5 music videos an hour before this. So I'll say it, I'll put it out there. I did it, and I pestered this man during his dinner time, so I deserve it.
Oh man.
But yes.
All right. Well, if anybody else in chat wants to heckle Alan, you go ahead and do so. But
Don't tell
Saya,
Katie that. Katie's already got her shots in.
yeah. Anyone except for Katie. You're not allowed, Katie. If you do that, then you'll be banned. No, just kidding. But Saya, thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. We'll hit you up later for the grand goodbye. But yeah, awesome remix, dude. Thanks so much for talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on.
All right. See you in a while. Oh man, Alan, we're still rolling, and like you said, yeah, we managed to get some music videos in at the last minute. I very much appreciated everyone's contributions so far. Oh god, Katie Scary's just torturing you in the most roundabout ways by redeeming some more Goofy time.
Does she have a special request for me?
Yes, Katie, if you would like Goofy to say a special word or phrase, please put it in chat. Otherwise, yes, we are going to listen to 2 songs now, Alan. We are going to listen to Lucas Guimarães. That's Lucas Graphics User Interface Mares with his cover of Phendrana Drifts. And then we'll have Felix Arafin with his cover of Magmoor Caverns, both of which are here. So join us to talk about their tracks after we listen to them. And Katie has requested Double Cheeked Up on a Thursday afternoon.
That's the homie.
That's great. Please clip that, somebody. All right, Alan, I'm done talking. I'm sure you're done listening to me also.
Oh, I
So
can
why don't
listen
we
the whole
listen to
time.
some music here, shall we?
Let's.
Listen. Man, amazing. Good variety in those two tracks. They felt very different. And here to talk about his differences is Lucas. Sorry. I'm just kidding. No,
Wait,
no.
no,
Lucas, you're the same as everybody. Oh my god.
The
Just
difference
kidding.
is, yeah, I made a track and Felix made a track, and ours are different because Felix made a track that's by Felix, and I made a track that's by me.
Okay, thank you so much for being on the show tonight, Lucas. It was great to have you. No, all jokes aside, yes, you had a cover of Phendrana Drifts, and that is a. I feel like that one's a hot favorite among Metroid fans.
Yeah.
Very recognizable, very popular, but you did some unique things to it. Why don't you start off by telling us what made you want to pick this track in the first place?
It's pretty much my favorite Metroid tune. I have that's pretty much the short of it. I think it is I'm sure for Metroid fans, it's probably at least in their top 5 of the overall fan base. But for me, it's that's my favorite Metroid track. So yeah.
Nice. Was there any competition? Like, did you have to break any kneecaps to be able to cover that one yourself?
No, I just had to be at my computer, which I was.
I'm just picturing Alan being like, "Hey guys, I've got this new idea for a Metroid," and Lucas is just like, "Hit send.
Yeah,
I want Phendrana."
I'm drafting the email. I haven't even sent it out, and he's texting me
Phendrana
Drifts.
And you're just like, dude, I just sent that. What the hell?
It's in my drafts. What the hell?
This is not even the first time it's happened, because I think it also it happened for King of Rad Lions with Dragon Roost Island, and then there was at least another that it happened with.
It might have been Milk Bar, but I don't remember.
No, Milk Bar. Milk Bar was actually hilarious. Milk Bar is hilarious, but in a different way.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I ended up getting my second favorite song by the virtue of nobody else claiming it from Majora.
Everyone's like, "Oh, that one's probably going to have so much competition. I'm not going to bother." Lucas is just like, "Hit send."
Yeah. Send.
Oh man. Well, you are also somebody who is quite a regular on GameGrooves releases and have experience in many genres. Yeah, what was it like working in Synthwave for possibly the first time, maybe not the first time?
It was not the first time. Right. I can tell you that much right now. I've done Synthwave quite a couple of times actually. There's a Synthwave track on 64 Seasons, which was an EP released through GameGrooves for Summer 64. I took the select theme from Star Fox 64 and turned it Synthwave. I've done a couple of Synthwave tracks for DOD and other VGM competitions. I did a whole EP almost a year back now called Mario FM, and that was all Mario Synthwave music. Mario Prime. That'll be the name of the next one.
Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Mario Prime. So yeah, I've definitely worked with Synthwave a couple of times for my main I'm not sure at this point. I'm not sure if I call it my main genre, but it's definitely my main electronic genre. It's my easy go-to bread and butter if I want to make a Synthwave track.
Mm-hmm. Well, despite your familiarity, you definitely used some techniques which are uncommon in Synthwave. Love the stutters. Love your use of vocals. Do you want to talk a little bit about producing that?
Yeah, sure. I don't remember exactly the specifics of how it's done, but I could try to explain from what I remember. The stutter during the after all of the builds up happens, and then the first kind of stutter before we get back into it. I used 3 instances of Shaper Box. I think it was 3 instances of three instances of Shaper Box basically to mute the track, and I had a signal that was don't mute, and the first one I just had it mute on I think every beat, and then I had it mute every other every half note, and then every quarter note to do or every 16th note at the very end to do the stutter. But because I couldn't figure out how to change it mechanically, I had one layered here, second layered here, third layered, and all layered at different times. So that was I don't get to do much automation fun, and I don't consider myself particularly good. That's one of my weaker points with producing with automation curves. But that was really fun, and once I got that to click, I was like, yes.
Nice.
It's my
Flexing those
favorite part.
muscles.
And then beyond that, it's just so like people who are listening to this, it's cool doing the things that like trick people into thinking them you did them in other ways. So I got asked during the call back here in the green room. I was like, was I doing like this with my voice? Was going, oh, and it's like, no, I just recorded my voice and then I just had layers doing that to the track. So for like a lot of listeners, they're gonna think, oh my gosh, did he do it that way? And it's like,
Well, when you get to do it live, then we'll really see how it gets done, won't we, Lucas?
oh, that'll be. I might have something in the stores when it comes to live announcements, but I will have to keep my mouth shut about that for now.
Lucas glottal user interface.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there was
And
also, I like. I also like giving because I've listened to like my favorite synthwave artists. And probably some of my favorite artists are like the Midnight and Carpenter Brut, but there's a bunch of synthwave artists I like. And I always try to like one thing I notice they do in their tracks a lot is they still put in usually something a little bit new to the something a little bit new to synthwave, and that's definitely what I try to do here. So there was also towards the end the instrument that you hear soloing. I actually did try this with a live saxophone, but it just wasn't working for what the vibe I wanted. So that what you hear is actually a sample modeled bassoon from Swam recorded using this bad boy over here.
Ooh, nice Yui.
Thank you. Props to you for knowing what it is, though I'm not surprised because you are a man of bonus stage.
Oh man, I've seen so many instruments. Let me tell you what all of them are. No, I'm just kidding. We'll get Ian on to talk about instruments, but he's a few songs away. Lucas, thank you for being here and for talking a little bit more about your track. We'll definitely get you on
Thank
for
you
the
for having me.
grand goodbye, and yeah, we'll continue to see you in chat, I'm sure.
Of course.
All right, we're going to take things over now to Felix to talk about his track, Magmoor Cavern.
Oh God! No, Goofy, no!
Oh, I'm sorry. I always think of that meme. This is an old meme, but it's just like a kid just like in his room in the dark, and like his dad comes in and he's got his belt out and he's wearing like this Goofy costume. He's like, "It's Goofy time," and I don't know. It's fucking. That's some dark old internet humor.
Where are we going?
But we're not here to talk about that at all, Felix, are we? No, we're here to talk about Magmoor Caverns. Yeah, Felix, good to have you here, by the way. Sorry if I alienated you in any way just now. But yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about why you chose Magmoor Caverns to cover?
Well, yeah, when I saw the pitch for Metroid Synthwave, I was like, oh, perfect. I'm already seeing it right now. You know, I'm picturing Samus in like a cool hot rod driving through a crazy neon city landscape, and I'm going to do it to my favorite track, Phendrana Drifts. And I go to the Excel sheet, and look who was there at the top.
Lucas, Goofy user
Lucas!
interface.
I'm gonna have
Dang
to start timing announcements around when I know Lucas is like on vacation on his computer.
Give us
Just to
a
give everyone a
Lucas.
chance.
I saw that, and I was like, oh, dang it, okay, well, I can't do that
I'm
one.
teasing.
So I decided to just do my next favorite track, which was Magmoor Caverns. Whenever we got to that level, whenever I played Metroid Prime, I would always have to just kind of put the controller down and just have a dance party. Just because when that beat broke down and the choir was going, oh, yeah, it's so good. One of my favorite tracks for sure. But yeah, and that was my pull for it, and it was a lot of fun to do. It came at a really weird time in my life. It was like I was just really strapped for creative ideas during that time. Like it was just one of those weird moments where when you're composing, you're just stuck in this deadlock of I can't do anything. So I really just had to push through and just like persevere through this track. And I'm glad it came out really good. It was one of those things where once it was done, I just sent it. I was like, okay, I'm done with it. And then once Alan had the announcement saying, hey, it's coming out soon, this is the release date, I re-listened to it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad at all. Yeah, I think it's one of the more high tempo tracks on the album. Alan did say that it was going to be getting a little bit more intense, and I think you definitely set the pace right there
Yes.
with this.
Glad I can do
Zeroed
that for
in
you.
on that image of driving down a long highway in your Metroid suit. I don't. Sorry.
Very astute.
Oh,
Incredible. So for
I'm
all
the
the fake
pleb.
gamers
I'm the
here,
pleb.
come
Yeah.
on.
Well, I did want to ask you: is Magmoor Caverns a track that you enjoy because you played the game?
Yeah, absolutely. That whole game is a masterpiece. I was just telling the green room before we started when Nintendo Shadow dropped Metroid Prime Remastered. My spouse and I went on a hunt. Okay, We were both working downtown. I had
The
a church
Metroid
gig
Prime
that night.
Hunters. Couldn't help myself.
Oh wow!
Hey guys,
Well,
I think I'm starting to get Metroid. Oh my god. Sorry.
we but we had a church gig. We went through like 5 different GameStops in downtown Toronto. We're like, "I'm sorry, I don't have it." And I'm like, honey, I need to go to church. I'm actually like playing right now. There's a Walmart like down the street. Could you please go and check? And bless my spouse, they were able to find it. It was incredible. The game means a lot to me for sure. I remember I never played the original GameCube version, but I remember going to my cousin's place in the States and he had it and I was trying it and I just couldn't figure out the first person controls right. And my cousin's like, just get the controller to me. I'll show you how to play it. Like I'll show you the controls. And he was showing me the controls and then he ended up beating the game over the course of 3 days. And I just ended up, but I watched the entire time because I knew I wasn't gonna get it. But I was like, this game is amazing. This looks so cool. And then finally got the trilogy, played through that, changed my life literally. And yeah, and then remaster came out, and this was perfect. It was the right project, and I think it's a perfect complement to what Metroid really stood for, and what it can be, and what it means to for a lot of the people that play it.
Man, I just have to take one moment to shout out. We are getting a raid of 8 viewers from Meme Mansion. Yo,
Oh, God.
what's up, Meme Mansion? Thank you for bringing your community over here. Welcome. If you're new to the channel, this is Bonus Stage. We are a channel that specializes in video game music and video game music related content. Tonight, we are having a listening party for our friends here at GameGrooves. For their release of Wavebeam, which is a synthwave tribute to Metroid Prime. Yeah, welcome in. Glad to have you. Thank you again for the raid and bringing your community over to us. Yeah, Felix, I feel like you've been on several Game Grooves releases as well. Is synthwave something that you yourself are familiar with?
Very much so. Big fan of the genre. It's definitely an excellent one to listen to when you're trying to pump some iron and get the gains. You just want to like hit. You just want to push. You just want to push. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember I actually had a video game project where I was asked to write synthwave music. The project unfortunately fell through, but I did end up releasing the music as an EP of sorts, and it's still like as an early artifact of my musical career, it stands the test of time. It's not bad. Just things I would change for sure, things I would redo, but it held up remarkably well. And I've always itched at the bit to jump into a synthwave related project. So this was great. This was so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and you knocked it out of the park with Magmoor Caverns
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you, High Lord Goofy. Much appreciated.
The big HLG. Oh my god. Oh my god. But Felix, you're always a pleasure to have on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. We'll get you back for the big goodbye, and, and we'll see plenty more of you in chat, bud. Take care. Well, Alan, we've got 2 more listening segments that we are going to go through. We have some songs and some videos. Coming up next, we're going to be listening to Epic Game Music versus Spice Pirates.
Spice Pirates.
Wow, Goofy's he sucks at words sometimes. Versus Space Pirates by Epic Game Music. I see a lot of love in here in chat for James, so you guys are all showing up in a very timely fashion. We're also going to have versus Meta Ridley by Chernabog and featuring Ian Martin. And then Biscore have their take on the theme of Dark Samus from Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Let's
Listen, yuck.
File 02546. 8 days ago, contact with Galactic Federation Trooper Squad Bravo was lost. Contract agreement: locate Federation troopers and render assistance.
Amazing set of videos and songs. Also, here to talk about one of them is a guy who's trying to pretend that he's out of frame. It's James. It's Epic Games Music.
Look! Surprise! I'm here.
Wow.
Hi,
Good job, man.
Josh.
Hi, James. How are you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. I've been getting ready for my MagFest set on the Friday 4 p.m. If anyone's going to MagFest.
Right. So when I tune into the stream, you're just gonna be like this, like awkwardly.
Yeah, exactly.
Still
Just
in
like,
frame. Oh my god, that's awesome. Well, we got lots of people showed up to share some love and appreciation for your work specifically. Me Mansion, thank you for subscribing with your Prime subscription.
Ooh,
Wow,
Me Mansion.
that's very apt.
Yeah.
But yeah, James, you did versus space pirates.
Versus the space pirates.
The clipping on that was amazing. Thank you for
Okay.
just pushing that.
Okay, I'll lean it back some.
No.
just do
It's perfect. You don't
blow
need to
that shit
change
out.
a thing. Oh my god. Well, start us off. Tell us why you chose versus space pirates.
All right, so when the call went out for like, oh, who wants to be on this Metroid Prime Synthwave album, I got there late, so all of the good songs were taken. Like
Phendrana
literally
Drifts,
all of them. Yeah.
Magmoor Caverns.
Yeah. And that's it. No.
Yeah.
Like so I just looked at the names and I was thinking it's like, well, versus Space Pirates. The Space Pirate theme, that sounds like dark and synthy anyways. So that should be, an easy go, an easy transition. And then once I listened to it after picking it, I said, oh shit, because it's so minimal and so discordant and like hard to do something with. So yeah. That's how that came to be.
Oh man. Well,
That's like
minimalist
no
and
peeky.
discordant
Yeah.
is kind of apt in a way for synthwave. Do you yourself have as much experience doing synthwave covers?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
I've done plenty of synthwave. Two
Hell
of
yeah.
my loves are Metroid and synthwave.
And
So
then
it
you
was
put
just
the two
perfect.
together and you're like, oh shit.
But I listen to a lot of synthwave. I'm a big synthwaver. I like Carpenter Brute, Daniel Deluxe. Is it Perturbator? Is that how you
Yeah.
pronounce that? Perturbator?
It's a perturbator.
Perturbator? I don't know. Whatever.
Wow, keep it PG.
Google it.
here, guys. No. Oh man.
Perturbator.
Anyway,
So-
I've done plenty of synthwave covers. I've done like Beetlejuice and Buffy the Vampire Slayer done in synthwave, and I for a video game I did a synthwave track. The video game's called Burning Souls.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
And do you yourself have a love for Metroid Prime as well?
Oh, a deep seated
Is it
love.
deeper than Alan's? Because he's got a tattoo on his arm.
Yep,
That's-
I get that.
Yeah, that's hard to
long and
compete with
prosper.
Alan. Yeah, maybe I'll get a tattoo now to challenge you.
You've got to get the gun arm, like the whole cannon.
An actual
Yeah, get a
like
sleeve
gun
and just
cannon.
that. Yeah,
A real prosthetic, yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
that too that would be fine. Either
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. But yeah, I love Metroid Prime. I played it when it came out as a teenager, and I used to smoke a lot of weed when I was in high school.
Okay.
And I just used to like smoke weed and just zone out, just play it, just get lost in that world, So
Yeah.
Wow, respect.
Yeah.
So Alan, have you also smoked a lot of weed and played Metroid?
I've done one of those things.
All right. Okay. We'll make a poll in chat and we'll see what people think of you. Oh my God.
That's all I'll say. One of those things.
Oh man. Yeah. So minimalist, discordant. Did you find any other challenges in translating this into a synthwave track?
Well, like I didn't go for straight synthwave. I did dark synthwave or dark synth, because like there's less rules with that. Because synthwave is sort of like how someone thinks the 80s was, but like it's Outrun or something like that.
You're not calling out Felix whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, we love you, Felix. You did a good job. Oh, sorry. Continue.
But yeah, so so dark synth, you sort of have like less rules. It doesn't have to sound like a certain era, So that's how I was able to actually make it synthwave. Use little tricks and use little like modern tricks and stuff like that. So yeah,
right on, dude.
Mm.
Cool. I'm all out of questions. You have satiated my curiosity, James.
I win the stream.
Wow. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to mention about your track? Anything special, unique, or any special processes that you had to go through?
Well, maybe the editing. There was a lot of editing for the video of that. So I hope people enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That's something I really like to do is, just sit there and zone out and just come up with crazy stuff. It's
Smoke
so
a lot
much
of
fun.
weed and just get lost in that
no
world.
more. Whoa, man.
Whoa, man. Unreal Engine. Oh my god. What do you use actually for your?
Yeah, I use Premiere, and there was you're totally correct on that. So those two. Yeah.
Unreal and Premiere. Everybody at home, take notes. Oh my god.
Yeah. Write that
Weed,
down.
Premiere, and
The perfect combination.
oh my god. I'm just glad it's all perfectly legal in Canada and the US so that we can joke about it and nobody is at risk.
Yeah, no one's getting in trouble, right?
Right. Just if you're
Yeah.
crossing the border, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man, when is that going to come down? Anyways, we're asking the wrong questions. But thank you, James, for coming on and answering the correct questions. We just lost Alan, so we'll get him back. But thanks so much for coming on the show. We'll get you back for the big hurrah at the end.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and thanks to the chat. And people, get the album now. Get it now. Stop what you're doing. Get it now.
Get it right now. Do it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, James.
Bye.
Oh man. Oh, I think we just got Alan back. Awesome, dude.
You guys were talking about weed, and the government took over my computer.
Wow. I'm sorry, man. I guess there's still some state restrictions on that. Is there?
Yeah, the feds still not federally legal. It's just in Maryland it's legal, but the feds they didn't like it.
No.
Yep.
How many senators do you have to? No, just kidding. That's a joke for backstage. Oh my god.
Even back.
We're moving on. We're about to listen to the final block of this epic synthwave album that we've had the pleasure of listening to so far. Coming up next, we've got 3 more tracks. We've got Ron and Op F featuring Street Cleaner. Very apt to get him on for a synthwave track, but they are covering the theme of Emperor Ing from Metroid Prime 2. Then we're going to be listening to Ian Martin with his cover of the Chozo Ice Temple, and he's featuring Leo Martin. No relation. No, just kidding. Absolute relation. And Darby Cupid. And then to close things off, we've got Trait, who I see in chat. What's up, Trait? Raid on the Chapel. Yeah, dude. I'm all keen to dip in. So why don't we let's...
I actually have to say something first.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
No, I will fully admit that we had that both the last 2 tracks are Ice Chapel, but the artist put down different track names, and I didn't realize it till it was too late.
So you put them together at the end of the album and be like, fuck you both.
They ended up working really well together, so I was like, it was intentional. It's a creative choice. That's all you ever have to do when you make mistakes. You just deflect and say it's a creative choice, and then nobody can argue with you.
That's right. It's all don't stifle someone else's creativity by having the exact same idea. Yeah. Don't do that.
All right. Anyways, so let's
listen.
Yeah.
Damn. Solid ending to this album. Oh, sorry. We're doing the thing. Hello, me. My name's James. I'm out of frame. Just kidding. Oh my god. Yeah, that was incredible. I liked both renditions of Ice Chapel, and here to talk about one of them is bonus stage frequent Ian Martin. How's it going, Ian?
Good. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing great. I'm down like 2 double scotches, and I've been listening to beautiful synthwave music all night, so I'm pretty happy. Yeah, dude. Chozo Ice Temple featuring Darby Cupid and your dad. Yeah, dude. What made you want to choose the Chozo Ice Temple?
So I went through the soundtrack when the album was announced, and the choir immediately hit me. I was like, "That's it."
Anything choral.
Anything choral. I mean, you know, we've done the choral thing
if
together.
you try to take choral stuff from Ian, he's gonna come and throw a bunch of thank yous and credits at you, and
yeah, but to all the shout outs,
leave you with no time to actually finish the work that you set out to do.
Yeah.
So it was the choir immediately. Have you yourself played any Metroid Prime games?
No.
All right.
Oh, we found
fake
ending with,
yeah.
with the fake gamer guy here.
Fake gamer. Yeah. The closest I got was at a friend growing up who had like every video game. I mean, probably not everyone, but he had like just a ton of games. And his brother was super into snowboarding and like couldn't care less about games and was like maybe 4 or 5 years older. And I think he popped his head and said something like, "You guys playing the Metroids?" or
playing the
something really funny like that. And that was like
Chad,
the first...
you do not play the Metroid.
But that was the first time I had ever heard about Metroid. And I don't even think my friend responded to him about that, but he was going off to go snowboarding and like break his arm for the 1,000th time or whatever. I don't know, but we didn't end up playing any Metroid. So no, I've never played a Metroid game, but I do appreciate the music.
Wow. That's impressive. I heard about Metroid from my friend's older brother who didn't even play video games.
Yep. But loved snowboarding.
Oh my god.
Still the only thing I know about that guy.
Wow. I think I went snowboarding once and I spent more time on my face than I did on my feet. And you know what? Video games, the worst I've gotten is a blister. Fuck you, Mario Party.
Yeah, right.
Kart race, right? Or no, the other one.
Fucking all the circle shit on N64, man. Just like, right there in the tender spot. Also King of Fighters 2. There was like a grapple mechanic that had you going back and forth really quick on the D-pad. And I think I came home from my friend's house one day and my mom was like, "How the hell did you get that?" I was playing video games. She was not happy. But even then, I did not know what Metroid was. So you got one up on me, Ian.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, you were attracted to the choral sound of the Ice Temple, and you brought in Darby Cupid, known for his vocal contributions to the VGM scene, and your dad, of course. I've seen you include your dad a lot more in your arrangements. Tell me what it's like working with him.
It's really cool. You know, my dad really got me into music, you know, like encouraged music when I was younger. Whether it was actually just playing music, you know, we've always had like pianos and instruments in the house, growing up, but, you know, he encouraged me to listen to music and, just interact with it, you know, on whatever level. And, yeah, so it's been cool to include him. He actually, he's way back in the day was a percussion major. So, and also a choral singer. So I've sung with him a number of times before. So it's cool to be able to include him. And now that like recording technology is much, like more accessible just to the home user, right? Like it was just very easy to get him set up with like a microphone and, you know, recording and, you know.
Yeah.
passing back and forth, backing tracks and record. I mean, you know how it goes. So
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
with percussions. You know, like shout out to percussion majors for doing all the stuff that real musicians don't want to do.
brutal.
Just kidding. Oh my god. I'm sorry. No, like honestly, like respect to percussionists and to your dad.
Yeah, but he's not playing percussion here. He's singing, so he can get the low notes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that I can't get. So
Those are
but that you can get. You can do those.
Don't shout me out. I'm not part of this, okay, Ian? I know.
Okay,
Just
fine.
fight the urge, man. Just
Wait, Josh,
have a
you were in a
little bit of
choir?
What?
Were you in a choir?
Well, I sing with Ian and a couple other choice fellows in a group called Gamer Tag, but we don't do a whole lot. But yeah, I sing bass, so
Gotcha.
I can hit that D. Early in the morning after having a night of whiskey drinking, I can hit a B. You know, yeah, that's you know, I don't know what the accuracy or the sustain is on that, but anyways, Ian has seduced me into talking about myself, and we're gonna ignore that entirely.
Oh.
But no, thank you. And your cover of Ice Temple is very distinct from Traits as well. I think you guys took very different directions within the synthwave umbrella. Is synthwave something that you yourself have worked with before?
So I've played with it a couple of times. I'm a big fan of like vocal synthwave, particularly this Australian synthwave artist named Griff, who sings and plays synth and stuff. And he's sort of like a friend of a friend of a friend. So I listen to his music a lot, and I try to emulate that style. I know that's hard with like video game music because of the whole lyrics thing and derivative works, of course. Sorry, we're bringing back licensing again, but
Ian, please.
but this is why when I heard, I was like, oh, there's a choral track on here. I gotta get those voices in, you know. So yeah, so I really do. I don't listen to enough synthwave, but the stuff I listen to, I really enjoy.
Wow.
But I could stand to listen to more.
Saya Sounds put in chat that they would love to be able to look up that
yeah.
Australian synthwave artist. Can you spell out that name so that they may look it up? GRYFF.
Yeah, GRYFF. I think it's just griff.bandcamp.com for his
Nice.
Bandcamp. But yeah, I mean, great stuff. Lots of fun.
Cool. Lots of influence for Ian Martin, folks. So if you want to do the stuff that Ian Martin's doing, go listen to the music he listens to. And immediately you will have access to his dad.
Yeah, my dad will sing on stuff.
Yeah, just
if,
by
if you
listening
ever
to
need
Griff.
bass voices.
Does he have a Bandcamp too?
My dad?
Does your dad have a Bandcamp?
No, so I'm in the process, and I've stalled on this, which is completely my fault. But we actually recently digitized the tape of his senior recital, of his college senior percussion recital, and so I'm working to put that up. So I've actually signed up for the Bandcamp page, which I think was just leomartin.bandcamp.com. But
Right,
there's
everybody
nothing
go
up there
follow,
yet.
please.
Yeah.
I'm sure once it's up, it'll be a hit.
Yeah. If you like, I think he plays something by Stockhausen, and I don't know. They're, the preeminent minimalist composers of the 1960s. So
nice. There's the Bandcamp.
there you go.
You can go follow, and you will get notified of new releases.
Yeah.
Whenever Ian gets them up.
Yeah, whenever I get it. Sorry, Dad. I think he's listening to this, but
pressure's on, Ian. Time to go be an overachieving son. Oh my god.
This whole thing was really just a setup to force Ian to help his dad.
Something for his dad.
Also, while he's talking about like setting his dad's setup, I was like, I really want a video of what that's like. Of like, everybody has like, here's how you make a YouTube studio or whatever. I'm like, here's how do you do that with your dad? Where he's like, no, don't put it there. Like, I feel like it's just gonna be you arguing with an older man for like 30 minutes to an hour about mic placement.
Oh,
but maybe I'm wrong.
He's very nice. So
I mean,
I
that ball
definitely-
must not fall far from
I will say I definitely lucked out in the parents department.
There you go.
Like
Oh,
the
that's
more
sweet.
people I meet, the more I'm just like, wow, I really like that. I mean, like, no offense to anyone else's parents, right? But
Oh, I'm listening. There it is.
oh yeah, there he is. Yeah, Nepal Anna. Yeah,
Oh my god. Awesome.
yeah. His name is not Anna, by the way. But
Okay.
Very good.
It's Nepal.
yeah.
Right,
Just
yeah.
in case anyone was asking.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, Ian's dad. And great contributions on the track as well. Good from
Yeah.
one bass to another. Good job. Right on, Ian. Well, I think that's all the time I'm willing to give you. We're going to wrap things up here, and we're going to have a big last hurrah with everybody here. So we'll get you back for that. Okay, Ian?
Sounds good.
All right. Goodbye. Alan, this has been a real pleasure. Good job putting this together. Good job sticking through and like making sure that it happened at all.
Yeah.
Yes, Jason, I'm a little spicy tonight. Forgive me. I hope it's acceptable. But yeah, dude, I don't know. What are your final thoughts? What more do you have to say before we close things here?
Chris, no, I can't do it. I can't do the goofy like you can. No, I was just gonna say.
No, you say what you want to say, and I'll repeat it.
I was going to say I wanted to get this out before MagFest, and I'm glad that we did. And I have this like I know a lot of people are going. I think it's starting to hit me. Like I've had so much going on that I haven't had a lot of time to think about it. But I'm going to be really excited to go, and it's always like a re-energizing event. So I feel like this is a good way to start the year off. Like I think this is going to be a special year for GameGrooves. Hopefully, we'll do many more listening parties. We have some big plans, so we'll see what happens. But as always, like I said, I greatly appreciate it. I hope everybody likes the album, obviously, and I hope that we get Metroid Prime 4 this year. That's my final thought. I mean, I can't top that. Please, Nintendo, put out. Just tell us where it is. What's happening? It's like we need to file a missing persons report on Metroid Prime 4. Like, where did it go? So
Dread was like the first thing we saw in how many years?
Yeah. So, anyways, that's my final thought. If Metroid Prime 4 never comes out, then at least we got it's better to have loved Metroid Prime 1 through 3 than never have loved it all.
It's better to have loved Metroid Prime 1 through 3 than to have never loved it all.
There you go.
Well, Alan, it's been a real treat having you and the folks on the show. Let's get everybody in here for one last big goofy hurrah. Thanks, everybody, for joining the show. Thanks for coming to Let's Listen, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, good night, everybody. Everyone's like so quiet. Why don't you say?
I guess we can.
You can say something. All right, thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
See you later.
Forgot to do the cameras on.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right.